Let's look at the pop-up color in position. It is very similar in structure to color out of position, so please watch the respective video about that pop-up first. Color in position. So in heads up, the player calls a preflop open raise, and he's heads up in position to the aggressor. Here we see folds to c-bets, raises c-bets, one at showdown after raise, just like in the color OOP pop-up. As for the new lines here, we have raise flop c-bet, check turn, and the river play, fold to our bet, or when the opponent bets himself. Let's look at the floats. Bet versus skipped, the open raiser checks, and the caller bets. Float bet on the flop, float bet on the turn, and float bet on the river. Bet fold is how often he folds when faces a check raise. Plus bet means subsequent barreling after floats. Bet versus skipped on the flop is 40%, second barrel on the turn 65%, and third barrel 60%. Or bet versus skipped on the turn 47%, and bet on the river 62%. Or we also have bet on the flop, which is float bet, then check behind on the turn, and the river play, fold or bet. The main lines are reaction to delayed c-bets. In this case we have check-check on the flop, and then we go to the turn. If the opponent faces another check from our side, when we are the open raiser out of position, he bets 31%, bet fold, bet call and then fold, barreling, bet turn, bet river, and bet turn, bet fold on the river. Down here we have his reaction to delayed c-bet when he's in position. Fold, call turn and fold the river, call turn and bet the river to a check from the open raiser, raise the delayed c-bet, or raise the delayed c-bet and bet on the river. The next line is call flop, check back on the turn, and the river play. Fold, call, raise, or when he bets himself, bet, bet fold, and bet call. The last scenario is checking all the way to the river, and then the same river play, fold, call, raise, bet, bet fold, and bet call. Now we looked at the total stats, but we can also select a specific position. In this case we can look at big blind versus small blind, button versus cutoff, cutoff button versus early positions, and early position versus middle position. Next comes the sizings block. Here we can see the reactions to specific flop sizes, just like in the out of position pop-up. Here we have reactions to c-bet, position versus position, greens are folds, reds are raises. Float bets, sizes, how our opponent float bets, how he folds against our raises to his floats, how he bets the turn after a float raise, and possibly how he bets the river after a specific float on the flop and bet on the turn, where the bet on the turn can be of any size. And then he bets the river also with any sizing. Float turn of a specific sizing plus bet on the river. Next we have reactions to delayed c-bets, also specific sizings, fold on the river, or raising delayed c-bets. And to the right of this small line, to the right of this line, we have the situation when the aggressor did not make a delayed c-bet, and the player bets himself. Bets on the turn plus bet on the river. Showdowns, total, and in single raised pots as caller. And we also have a preflop block, just like in the out of position pop-up. But here we have those positions big blind versus small blind, button, cutoff versus MP2, and everything above MP1 if we play full ring.